I'm speaking with Joe Gemma, Chief Revenue Officer of Wauseon Machine, a single source partner for automation solutions, tube forming technologies, precision machining, and fabrication. Joe Gemma was recently awarded the prestigious Joseph F. Engelberger Robotics Award for 2024, recognizing his exceptional leadership and contributions to the automation industry. Wauseon Machine started as a small contract machine shop in 1983 and is proudly celebrating its 40th year in business. The company combines advanced knowledge and engineering expertise with state of the art equipment and technologies, enabling them to craft the right solution for customers' unique needs.
Hello, my name is Joe Gemma. I am the Chief Revenue Officer of the Wauseon Machine Group companies, and excited to be here today to talk about workforce growth, workforce development.
Joe, how has manufacturing evolved over the past couple of decades, and where are we headed in the next decade or two?
Great question to start with. So, manufacturing certainly is very different today than it was in the last 10 to 20 years. And while there are certainly some core manufacturing processes that continue to maintain, our forward momentum to the industry, and many environmental tasks have changed, job roles have changed, functions and companies are evolving and at a faster pace than ever before, I think. And part of that is driven by a broad range of advanced technologies and methodologies. Things like advanced manufacturing, with utilizing vision technologies and what that means for the workforce and what they need to look like to be able to support the manufacturing. Some of the technologies that we're implementing in manufacturing today certainly didn't even exist 10 to 20 years ago. So that's really changing the face of how we manufacture throughput of products. And then you think about the volumes of products. We talk about some of the things that we use every day, like cell phones. And you think about how the manufacturing, it's not a new, cell phones is not an old industry itself, right? It's less than 20-year type industry itself. And think about the manufacturing of stuff, things like that and what that took. And so it took technologies like automation and robotics to bring that to the forefront of really feasible manufacturing processes to be able to meet the market demands.
What opportunities and challenges does this present for young people entering the workforce?
Great follow-up question too. So there are things like that. I mentioned advanced manufacturing. In fact, companies that have now, as part of their strategies, is not the more typical engineering functions, more manufacturing engineering. So advanced manufacturing, so that the workforce, the young people that are moving into that, what does that mean for them? Understanding what Industry 4.0 means, and vision, as I mentioned earlier, what that might look like. Cybersecurity, how critical that is in the daily functions they're involved in. So, software and the balance of understanding what that might mean. As I said, Industry 4.0 connectivity, while that's becoming more important. And then advanced manufacturing technology. So, when I mentioned automation technologies across so many areas, certainly, people think of that and think of robotics, but there's mobile platforms, there's other types of technologies that are being implemented that are critical for the younger people coming into this space, for them to understand and be able to utilize these technologies to help manufacturing.
How can education and educators play a role in preparing students with specific skills and multidisciplinary approach to meet the demands of this wide-ranging, complex, and ever-evolving world?
Yeah, I think that's really a critical component going forward. In fact, I'd say more than ever, we need educators and educational institutions to work together. Some of those things are developing, curriculum. Today, we're looking at, from industry for, I'll say, more multidisciplinary type skills. And industry certainly would support and advise with that. So developing curriculums so that we can get more of those skill sets available in the students coming into the workforce. For instance, when I was younger, you went to school for engineering, it was mechanical engineering, you focused strictly in that space, or electrical engineering, strictly in that space. Later, after me actually, was computer engineering, and you kind of focus strictly in that space. Today, those are all blended together more. And as an industry, as we talked about in the earlier question, we need these students to be able to understand those different components, electrical, mechanical, and software, and the interface of what those mean. So that's a critical thing that I think educational institutions can that we can work together on. And another critical thing, maybe again more than ever in the past, is communication skills. More today with that the generations, even my generation, using more tools like Teams type meetings. The communication skills are becoming more and more critical, that you're trying to help people understand your ideas without necessarily being in the physical room. And so it's more challenging. So communication skills, verbal, oral, those are things that I think the educational community can really help the students be better prepared for what we'll need in industry, manufacturing, and all the different functional areas going forward in the future. There's another thing education can help with too, and I think it's the reverse. The education community can help industry, because we need to, we talk about workforce, we tend to talk about new students coming in, but there's also a whole piece of the workforce available that needs, I'll say, training skill sets, that want to move from one space to another, or want to kind of reskill so that they can be more valuable to a company. As an industry, as manufacturers, even as our automation industry, we're not skilled in developing, I'll say, training strategies. We know what we want. We know what the skills we want them to have, but how to put that together. What does that plan look like? Schools and educational environments, they really are skilled at putting those things together. So we could partner together with education, and they can help industry to be more efficient in building up the skill sets of our current employees or employees who want to come into the space, as well as the new students coming into the space. I know it's a long answer to your question, but I think those are critical components going forward for where education can work together with industry to be successful in helping the workforce of the future.
What specific manufacturing trends, such as Industry 4.0, additive manufacturing, green manufacturing, CAD, AI, and other advanced computer technologies, provide exciting opportunities and present new challenges or requirements for our education system and workforce development?
That's a big question, and I'll do my best. So, in fact, working on the automation side or manufacturing, students will have an opportunity to impact work in a variety of industries. Surgical, aerospace, construction, agriculture, life sciences, logistics, consumer products, automotive, electronics. In fact, I can't even think of an industry that we don't impact today some way with technology. So it's really so many wide areas that they have an opportunity to touch, and it's really every functional area. In this case, we give them an opportunity to actually change the work environment, and industry needs that next generation to get engaged. Also, the current workforce, they have availability that I talked about earlier to do some skills training. So the things like Industry 4.0, I think that is not a thing of the future anymore. It's a thing of today. And you mentioned that in your question. In fact, connectivity is probably the next most disruptive technology going forward that's going to be critical for manufacturing. The idea of having these isolated components of tools in a manufacturing floor that don't talk to each other is frustrating for manufacturers. So that next step, that next big step in utilizing Industry 4.0 is that connectivity. And we need that workforce capabilities to be able to embrace that. It's an exciting opportunity because they get a chance to actually develop things that don't necessarily exist today in spaces that will be necessarily part of the future. It's really an exciting time to be part of the manufacturing industry because of that. And then there's a lot of startup technologies that this is just the people coming in from a educational environment want to go into a workforce environment. There's so many startup opportunities because the technology is evolving so rapidly that it's just exciting for a young person to get into something like that and actually have the opportunity to change the world. There's some other things that I think that is going to be more critically important and exciting for students going in the future. We talk about automation, we talk about AI and how that impacts us going forward, but there'll always be the human in the loop. And this is a great opportunity, somebody coming into technology space to be that person in the loop. Even when we talk about the artificial intelligence or really machine learning, we still keep a person in the loop. For example, if there's say an AI type or machine learning environment where a robot is picking different parts out of a bin. There is some tort environment to start that process, but there are sometimes conditions that aren't expected in that environment. And that's where the human in the loop can have the impact to teach in a real-time environment what the robot needs to do the next time it sees that situation. So it becomes part of that machine learning process. So the the worker in this case becomes part of that human in the loop of this automation technology and what it's going to mean for the manufacturing and processes going forward. In closing, by collaborating with industry, educators can make this happen and help build the needed advanced manufacturing talent that will bring us into the exciting future of automation and manufacturing of tomorrow.
Thank you, Joe, for sharing your insights on the automation and manufacturing of tomorrow. For more information on Wauseon Machine, please visit wauseonmachine.com.